was becoming a single mother at the time something that life chose for you, or something that you chose for yourself back then?
No, I don't think anyone wants or will just choose to be a single mom. Like, I always say every time I go for interviews, we have different categories of single moms. We have single mothers, we have married, or no, we have divorced single mothers, we have married single mothers, we have
Married single mother.
yes, that's another trend. That's another side of single mother is now very common. It's coming up. People are married yet they are single because they're practically doing things themselves. Their husbands are never around. So you're good as a single mom. So that's another category of, but that's not what we are here about. So like I said, we have single mothers. I was a single married. I had, it all happened when I was in university, 200 level, first semester. And so I didn't plan it. It was at that time, people had come into terms, people have certain single mothers these days. In those days, you are like, nobody wants to see you, nobody wants to be your friend, nobody wants to hang out with you. Nobody really wants to be around you. It was really bad.
Even your mates at the time?
To be honest, I had quite a few genuine friends. And, one of them is Funke Kuku. We went to school together. I was living in our room. She was quite very good to me. She didn't abandon me. But by the time I came back, because I left school for a while, by the time I came back to school, all my friends were gone. All my friends were gone, so it was quite lonely for me. And when I came back, before I even had my extra year, getting along with them was a little bit difficult because the things they were thinking about were not the things that I was thinking about anymore. I was now a mom, and I had to do mom things, but they had none of those burdens, and so it's quite a different world at that time. So we're not really on the same pace when it comes to friendship.
Now, talking about being a mom and figuring things out on your own, raising the baby, priorities have shifted. You understand, because there is a whole new being in the picture. How do you raise emotionally healthy children when how would you advise single mothers, or how would you say single mothers should raise emotionally healthy children when they're still healing themselves?
It's actually, I always say something. Single mother situationships is not a one size fit all, because everybody has different situation, different things that led to that particular stage in their life. Some were married. Married people, they got separated from their husbands. Some divorced properly, got separated from their husbands, and some happened out of wedlock. Some getting pregnant for a married man. That's another side chick, single moms. Yes,
it's nothing we've not heard.
Yes, so it has different. So when I listen to other people's story, I'm always dazed. I'm always like, God, I thought mine was the worst. So it's actually very hard to say, oh, this is the way you should do it. Like, okay, I was still a child when I had a child. So how do you want me to raise an emotionally intelligent child? Because I myself, I was still in that phase where I was still being, mothered myself. So it wasn't, I learned along the way, and I would say that sometimes it was good, sometimes it was just there, sometimes it was really bad. So I can't really say for everybody, but while advocating and learning along the journey, I realized that it is possible. But one thing I always say, even as a human being, a woman that got married, and when you're not emotionally, psychologically ready to be a mom, and you put yourself in that situation, you will still have it difficult. Not to talk of people that were not even ready. They're not even married. They're not thinking of children. That's the last thing on their mind. It's always very difficult. And I must be honest, it was a very tough journey. Yeah, it was. It wasn't easy. So you're just doing it the way because you don't even know anything in the first place. People that are married are still struggling to raise emotionally intelligent children. How much more students are still trying to know a left from a right, and then all of a sudden motherhood comes into the picture. It's been a very, very difficult journey, I must confess.
Okay, so at what point did you say, you know what, I want to be an advocate. I want to advocate for this set of people, because the journey is actually not easy.
Okay, I didn't choose advocacy. I remember before I got married, I would always pray and say, God, this is not the kind of a life I want. I've always been that dreaming girl, usually build castles in the air, thought about my future, and when I found myself in that space, it was quite depressing. And at the point I I hit rock bottom, of course, and then I got to a point I met Jesus. And I think that was when the turning point came about, and I just started to be a very prayerful person and said, that life that I wanted from the beginning, I would still like to experience it. And I think that was when the shift came. So while I got close to God, God spoke to me and said, when I eventually get married, I want you to do this.
Oh.
Yeah. I want not, we didn't come as advocacy. I want you to pastor single mothers. I'm actually an ordained minister. I'm a pastor, actually. So the advocacy didn't come that way. It came along the journey. When I saw the rise in single motherhood across, not just in Nigeria, across the world, I knew that, okay, apart from the spiritual aspect, somebody has to stand up and say, okay, this is it. This is what these people are going through. This is what is happening in this community, And so I didn't choose it. I think, let me just say, I joined along, the single mother, pathway, and I made myself advocating for them.
All right. You've spoken about, being married now. Let's talk about marriage, going from being a single mom to now being married and you have a child. When do you think is the right time to introduce your child to the person that you're now seeing? Because it's been both of you. People are like besties, and then there's somebody else coming into the picture. So when is the right time to introduce your child to your spouse?
I had this interview with I've forgotten his name, Mr. Wally or thereabouts, and this same question came up, and a lot of people bashed me and said, "Oh, you're a bad mother. You're a bad mother. Why would you?" See, let's be realistic. When two people meet and fall in love and they get married, we all know that there's time for bonding. Some people, when they get pregnant immediately after they get married, they were like, they don't even want it because they want time to bond with their partners. And that time when you are bonding, trust me, you're getting to know each other. And you're going to see another side of your partner. You'll be like, I just see this while I was cutting you. Did you hide this side of yourself? And so, because that is bound to happen, because we're all human beings and, we are not perfect. We are getting to know each other. And just imagine children or a child being in the picture. I must say it was really a nice experience. That was exactly what I did, even though it was against my parents' wishes. My parents were not in support. They were like, you've been you've gone through a lot for so long. Go ahead, enjoy your marriage. Don't worry, we'll take care of this aspect for you. But I said no. So after third month of getting married, I decided to juggle between being a wife and a mom. And I must say that it affected a lot of things. And, people might not like to hear the truth, but it's just the truth. And it is what it is. A lot of things happened, especially, sometimes it happens, watch it in movies when children will say, I cannot call him my daddy. He's not my biological father.
So all that is real?
It's actually very real.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very, very real. Oh, you can't beat me. You cannot beat me because you're not my actually... All that, see, it's not, I'm not trying to bring up stories. These are realities. I don't know what happened in other people's homes, but I experienced some of all those things. And, there was a friction at the point. And, when you're building something, you're supposed to start on a very, very good foundation. Not because children are bad, but because sometimes wisdom is profitable to direct. Sometimes you can do things in a way that everybody benefits at the end of the day. The wife is benefiting. The husband that puts himself in that situation is also benefiting because he's a human being. He didn't get married to get all of those. That's not what he also bargained for. He also wanted but because he believes that some people don't mind marrying single mothers. They're like, I don't mind. What's there? In fact, I met someone before I met my husband that told me, if I'm going to marry you, no child.
Wow.
I don't want to see any child. I don't want that. I don't want this. All rules and regulations. And I'm like, I just checked out. And I dated another guy even before that one that also did the same thing. I checked out. I've made a lot of sacrifices before I met my husband. And, when I met the right person, I felt like this is God ordained. Still, it wasn't totally perfect. There's still some, things that needed adjustment. You just have to continue to make adjustments. And now, if saying that, letting the children stay away for a while for you guys to bond is a bad thing, then like I always say, not all shoes will fit everyone at the same time, and every situation is not a one size fit all. So do what works for you. That's it.
What do you think? Talking about, meeting people and their rules, their regulations, the boundaries that they have been setting, what support do single mothers actually need most that people rarely offer?
Emotional support. Let me tell you something. Most single moms, I don't know. I meet with them one on one, and I've heard a lot of stories. This is not me exaggerating. And so when I see them post online, I have a community for single mothers anyway. And so they talk in the community.
Sorry, where can this community be
Yeah,
found?
it's
In
on.
case
If
there's
you
anyone
go to
listening.
my Instagram bio at Sumisola Duke, there's a link in my bio that takes you directly to the community.
Okay.
Okay, so in the community they are real, they talk about challenges and all of that, it's, and you can be yourself kind of place. But on social media, it's another thing. I see people trying to boss up, trying to make it look like they're strong enough, or even though he did that, I'm fine, I'm strong, I'm happy. But in the real sense, are you really happy? When no one is watching, are you really happy? You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you go through all kind of situation, all those difficulties, and when you come back home, there's no one to talk to. There's no one to tell you, to say, oh, this is how my day went by. Not even friend. That's why I said emotional support. And at the end of the day, most single mothers cried themselves to sleep. I used to cry myself to sleep as a single mom. And the day I said this in the community, everybody agreed with me.
Everybody argued.
Agreed. Yes,
Okay,
with me,
okay,
that
okay.
that's the situation, because you might feel like you are strong on the outside, but when you are alone all by yourself, it's not easy. And this is not me castigating anyone. Most single mothers, because of the situation that they find themselves, tend to go out or date married men.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I've had a lot of people confide in me. Don't always judge. I am not in that I don't always judge people. I always try to understand. Also believe that the word of God says that faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God, that continuing talking to them, chastising them, will make them at a point there will be some sort of shift in the way they think. But most of the time, single mothers date single married men, and most of the time married men pray. They pray, prey, on single mothers, not because they love them. They're not going out with them because they love them. They're not going out with them because they have a long-term agreement with them to stick by. Most of the time it's just because these people are available. And that's where emotional support comes from, because they feel like they are getting some sort of emotional support, even though those emotional support are not real. They are mirages. They are not real. They are things that goes and come. And when a married man is cheating on his wife, and the wife gets to know the man draws back, it's a roller coaster ride. I really wish that a time will come when people really get to see single moms not by the label of single mothers, but by meeting people for who they are, so that people will not see. There's nothing wrong with marrying a single mom if all criterias that you want in a woman. I don't subscribe to marrying out of pity, so look well before you get married. Yes, so all criteria, what you want, are present in a woman, whether she's a single mom or not. As long as the person meets your criteria, please go ahead. You understand? So that before you get to know people, you're already judging them. Oh, she's a single mother, she must have been promiscuous before she had this child. And at the end of the day, you crucify them, and some people they even like you, they want to marry you, but because of what people will say.
Oh, okay.
The fear of judgment,
Society.
the fear of judgment, like, you handsome man, why would you go and marry a single mom? You could have gotten any girl,
Interesting.
any kind of girl that you wanted. So why did you end up with one? That fear is there. These women, they see, I always say something. Nobody starts life to end up as a single mother. It's a difficult thing, even for me as a person, to step out. What I'm doing now, sometimes it's kind of difficult for me, because sometimes I would like to put my past in the past. Yes, I really would love to do that, but because this is for me, is not just I want to show myself out. It's for me a calling. If it wasn't a calling, trust me, nobody would know anything about my life. Because even after being married for several years, people still judge you. People still, once you mention, I was once a single mom, there's this judgment in people's eyes, like, why were you a single mom? Now, even though you are married, but why did you ever Why were you ever a single mom? So the judgment is always like an everlasting thing. People don't really forgive single mothers. Yes, they don't. It happens everywhere. In churches, when people want to have, when people want to abuse you, that's the only thing that they have to say. Oh, you are children out of wedlock, or why your husband's house, whether you were married or you were just passing by, you never married. I mean, people will be like, oh, why did you leave your husband's house? Why their husband's house? Judging you just because they have labeled you a single mother, not knowing your exact story. So before you can judge a single mom, you need to know their stories. And for everyone around listening to me, please, let us support single mothers. Let us support their businesses. Let's not judge them, because when you hear their stories, I'm telling you, cry. It's not always easy. It's not always, they look strong on the outside, but most of the time they need support. They need emotional support. They need financial support. They need spiritual support. It's not always easy.
All right, something just came to mind now. I know that some women have it hard, looking for an apartment.
Okay.
When it's time to get a house, the landlord is asking, or the landlady is asking if you're married. Do you think single mothers face that same issue?
I know that used to happen before. It happened to me once.
Oh wow.
Yeah. In fact, I've never said this story before. I was in Abeokuta when it happened, and I was trying to get a house, and the woman was like, when I got the house, it was a caretaker. So when the landlady came from Lagos and saw me, she was like, oh, so where's your husband? I said, I'm not married. She said, so you can't stay in my house because my husband will be coming from the UK very soon, and I don't want him to meet you here. I begged the woman. I pleaded, I'm not this, I'm not that. I'm not a threat to your marriage in any way, blah, blah. I'm going to mind my
Even
business.
With your child.
Yes. And then she asked me, go and bring the father of your child. So I went to beg him to come just to show face for me too, so that I can just have a place to stay. And I don't know whatever it is that they discussed. And the next thing, few weeks after, this woman threw my things outside. I came back from work on time. I made all my things outside of my apartment. Let's not even go into that. But that's not because I'm hearing that people are saying. I'm saying this happened to me. So I don't know if it is still happening, but I experienced it personally.
All right, so we're out of time. Let's just very quickly get into misconceptions that people have about single mothers.
Like I said, a lot of people believe that single mothers are promiscuous. They believe that just because they're single mothers. I see comments on social media, especially say your hair is there outside. That's why you're not your husband's house. It's because you want to be on the street. That is why you are not there. If not, you would have stayed because of your children. These women, they want to stay. Nigeria, we love marriage.
Yes, we do.
We want to stay married. When you see a Nigerian woman check out of her marriage, her eyes are seeing Shege Banza Pro Max. No woman wants to leave a marriage. So when you see a woman divorce her husband, it's not because she wanted to, it's because she had no choice. Sometimes for their life, sometimes for the sake of the children. So when you see a woman, that is not a single one, please don't judge, because there is a lot of layered stories that that made her become what she is. So she's not a single mother by choice. It's just because she had no choice. Yeah.
All right. Word of advice to everyone, concerning single mothers right now?
Before I would have said, oh, stay in school, don't be promiscuous, don't have a boyfriend, don't have sex after marriage. But from what I've seen and the statistics obtained out there, it has been, confirmed that 70% of single mothers were once married. So saying that don't be promiscuous and all of that is not even an advice anymore. All I'm going to say is very prayerful, be very spiritual. Don't joke with your spiritual journey with God, because like someone was asking me, oh, what are you? I said, I'm a gatekeeper. I'm a spiritual gatekeeper, because what sometimes the devil, these things we are just seeing them happen. Sometimes most of them are spiritually instigated. Most marriages that are breaking today, trust me, are spiritually instigated. A lot of women would have loved to stay in their husband's house, but because they got pushed to a certain level, a point where they had to run out of the marriage. So all I'm going to say is, stay woke spiritually. Be a gatekeeper in your marriage. Even as a single one right now, still be a gatekeeper for your children so that whatever happened to you will not repeat itself in the life of your children. Stay grounded in Christ. Keep yourself spiritually clean. Stay away from married men, because I always say something, karma does not lose. It doesn't. People will say karma is a bitch, right? But I would not want to say that. But what comes around, what goes around comes around. So let's not do what we don't want to be done to us to other people. Let's stop hurting each other as women. I think that's it for now.
Oh wow, thank you so much, so Duke. I'd love to have you again though, so
Everybody says that.
I'd love to have you again so we can have more conversation.
Yeah, I'll be glad
on this. I had so many questions to ask you today, but I just had to rush through.
It's fine.
And that's it, City of Lagos. Thank you so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening in the city. We go again on Monday, God willing. Bye for now.